Zach, you had a great victory on AEW Dark. We saw you defeat Serpentico. Impressive match there.
I appreciate that. Thanks. It was a really big night. First of all, it was a historic night for pro wrestling in general because we're back in Atlantic City, especially in that building, Boardwalk Hall. That's a very historic building for professional wrestling, and wrestling hasn't been there in quite some time. So just to go back there first, and that I got to wrestle in that building is a big moment.
WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 5, other stuff happened there. Now, if I'm wrong on this, tell me if I'm wrong, but when they did WrestleMania 4 and 5, it was little more than just a bunch of seats. It was kind of like a falling apart arena. I'd have to assume they fixed it up in the years since.
Yeah, I was surprised by how the place looked. I mean, I know it's by itself, it's a pretty old building, and they definitely must have done some work, I would think, because it was a very, very nice building.
Yeah. Well, another impressive thing about your victory is that you had to do that while Luther was screaming at you.
Yeah. Hey, they're great guys. So I had obviously my fiance Jenny there with me, the kids, Milani and Grayson. I had Mike and Lauren and Dina and her kids. And it was Mike and Lauren's first time, and Dina's, watching me wrestle. So me bringing them into my world. Jenny has seen me a few times, but Mike is a really, really big wrestling fan. And he's been trying to come to a show for a long time. And so we thought of a way to get him involved. And if you saw the match, he had his little moment and that he lived for, and he loved it, and everyone loved it. So it was a really great time for them in that aspect, to have that variable there too. Really, really fun.
And you are an upstate New York person, if Wikipedia and all my research is correct. And a lot of the Jersey Shore people are not really Jersey Shore people. I know that because my wife is from the Jersey Shore, so she likes to point that out as a, I know the Jersey Shore. But did that feel like a hometown show of sorts for you, being in Atlantic City?
It did. So, yeah, I grew up in upstate New York. Now we do live in Jersey because of the show. But everyone there got it. Like, everyone knew what was going on and that it was a Jersey thing. And the crowd was definitely receptive. It was the loudest I think they have ever been for me personally, which was great.
Yeah.
And they loved the thing with Mike and Jenny and the kids, and they loved it. So I think so.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen you on AEW programming before, against Bear Country, QT, etc. So I'm not asking for spoilers here, but hopefully there's more to come with you in AEW.
100%. I already have future dates lined up. We're going to work out something to hopefully get me on television soon, which would be great. But they're great. I have a great relationship with them. I always have for the better part of 2 years now. So there's much more to come for sure.
Is Cage Match, or one of those sites I checked, correct that you made your debut in 2014?
Yes. Yep. I believe it was April of 2014.
You never know with the debuts. Another Jersey Shore related person, Diamond Dallas Page. I think his debut was 79, but he didn't really become a wrestler until like 92, something like that. So you never know. It's like, well, Zach had one match, took a break, etc. What did you really go in 2014, or was just like a little training and a couple of matches?
No, I did. I trained in upstate New York at a place that no longer is there. And then I went and trained with Johnny Rodz in Brooklyn. And then through that, and I was 19 when I started. And I kind of had my first learning experience of working, how to really work under Johnny, which was great. And then from there, I stayed up north and a little bit in Florida. But then since then, the last 2 years has been AEW. Yeah.
Johnny Rodz, WWE Hall of Famer. I remember reading, did he train Cass, aka Big Cass, Kaz, what's his name? William Morrissey?
Something like that, yeah. But he did.
Kaz, I think, was also a Johnny Rodz guy.
100%. He had we had just missed each other, I believe. So
What was it that made you choose Johnny Rodz of all people? Granted, it's a respected school, but it is an old school wrestling school.
So it's a total old school wrestling school. And look, at 19, it was a young person to think this way, but I thought I can't learn to be something or go somewhere and do something by people who have never done that thing. So if I want to do that, then I have to go to where people have done that thing. So I looked up the closest credible school to me, and I was in upstate New York. It was only a 3-hour drive. I would go as often as I did. It was a few times a month. And then we would do shows a couple times a month. So I was there often. A bunch of Tommy Dreamer, the Dudleys, there's a bunch of list of people who came out of there. So I was like, It's got to be good. So Johnny ended up really taking me under his wing. We have a great relationship, and a very old school way of learning, but it works.
Yeah. Is that, if this is saying too much, stop me, but is that one of those do 400 Hindu squats right now, and if you puke, you got to start all over, one of those wrestling training schools?
It was, yeah. And the place that I started was like that too. So it was kind of, I expected that, but it was also hey, you know what? You're pissing me off. Get in the ring and let me just stretch you for 45 minutes. I never had that happen to me, but I've watched it happen to plenty of other people. So, yeah.
And then when did wrestling become a full-time thing for you? For most people, it seems like it's 4 or 5 years into the business.
Yeah, I'm starting since AEW, because I've always been busy with a job, right? So then it was just the weekend shows, and I wasn't making enough money to live off of the weekend shows. So then since AEW has become more frequent, which I still want it to be more frequent because that's the wrestler in me. You just want to work, right?
Yeah.
But that's coming, so I'm looking forward to it.
With today's crop of wrestlers, they're very different than the old school brothers in that the old school wrestlers were wrestlers. That's it. That's all they did. And then if you look at people on the AEW roster, you see people who are musicians, aspiring actors in comics, vloggers. There might be some designers. I'd have to think about that, whether there's anybody with a clothing line. I wouldn't be surprised. Are you looking beyond wrestling? Do you have other interests that you hope to push forward as well beyond the wrestling?
Yeah, well, so I have the MTV thing right now, which does help wrestling. But yes, and some acting as well. But so I have outside endeavors, you could say, because I'm not a full-time wrestler right now. I don't have I get paid by appearance right now. I don't have an official contract deal. So very much so in a way that I'm still, hey, I wrestle when I can, which is frequent, much more frequent now, but looking for that full time would be great. And then even still, extracurriculars will arise. And I think that's great because I think just the whole world is different now. I think there's more opportunity for everybody now. So I think everyone should be involved in anything that can be.
I would argue you are a full-time wrestler, regardless of the number of dates, because there's social media. You have to keep up. I don't want to use the word storylines, but you have to keep up with all the comments that are being hurled at you. You have to interact with the other people you work alongside. That's 40 hours a week right there. The training, that's probably 40 hours a week right there.
Yeah, it is. You're right. So, you got to keep up with the brand. Right? People have to know what you're doing. Social media, I've been hitting very hard the last few years. But, I stay in touch with AEW on a personal level as well as the social media level, because I think for a lot of people, social media is a job and it's a chore. And I think it's something that a lot of people do, especially today, just to look good or try to look good. To me, it's important to have real relationships with people. So the fact that I'm able to text people in AEW just to see how we're doing, even not talking business, is, to me, that's important.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like your plate is full beyond all the stuff we talked about in family. Is there anything else that you wish, hey, more people should know this about Zack Clayton?
Well, so yeah, I have all of those things going on. When I'm not doing that, I actually, because I used to in my previous life I was an athletic trainer. So I trained athletes for all the sports. So on the side of all that, to keep that part of me, because I do love that and I have that passion, I write programs, I have a membership website, and I train as much as I can online. I work with people as much as I can. And through that, I have a merchandise line too that I mess around with and, you know, try to get people to carry on the message. So it's good. But that's something that I do for me just because I want to do it. Because I don't think that part of me would leave either. You know, I can't physically do it in person anymore. So I'm going to what I can online with people. So I have a good community right now. I have a membership site with 50 or so members. So that keeps me busy also.
2 last questions for you, and then I'm going to let you go. And the first one is, as a person who is not afraid of the gym, clearly, what music do you like to train to when you can choose the damn radio? And is it the Rocky IV soundtrack?
I do love that one. But you know what? So through COVID, me and my fiance, we built a gym in our house so I got COVID early 2020 and I thought it was from the gym. And then I said, you know what? I mean, let's just do it. Let's just build the gym in the basement. So I did, and I'm still building it, and I'll probably never be done building it. And my Jenny gets pissed off at me because I just keep adding things that, you know, don't even fit anymore, but whatever. So I do control the music finally in the gym. And it's a lot of Metallica. It's a lot of rock. I love 80s rock. Yeah. Yeah.
Good answer. Where does David Lee Roth stand for you on the all-time greats list?
Oh man, literally an all-time great. I mean, literally. Are you a big fan, I assume?
Oh, I'm writing a book about his greatness, and
wow.
Somebody's got to do that, and maybe I'll throw you a couple of questions for that book. But the last thing I want to know is, hey, besides Jersey Shore, besides AEW, do you have a TV recommendation you could pass along for someone who needs a new show to start?
Yeah, you got time for like a 2-minute story? So Dexter New Blood just came out, right? And I'd never seen Dexter before. And then Jenny started watching the new episode of the new season, and I said, it's kind of cool. And she goes, wait, you've never seen this? No. So we stopped watching, and we made a commitment. We said, we're going to go back all the way on Showtime to season 1, episode 1, and we're going to watch the whole thing. It's 8 seasons. It's like 200 hours of television.
Yes, it is.
But we did it. And it turns out it's my favorite show now ever. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So, and then we watched the new season. So if you haven't seen Dexter, go watch that. But I'm sure you have. I don't know. We don't really sit around much and watch TV, even though I'd like to. But Dexter recently, because that's the one that we just watched, is my new favorite, even though it's almost a 20-year-old show.
I think I stopped watching around the season when everyone says it's the best, the John Lithgow killer season.
Season 4.
I'm missing out, am I?
That's the best, not only just of Dexter. I mean, first of all, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just as an actor. But that season of storytelling was just phenomenal of any show. So yeah, you should go watch that.
So here's what I've learned about Zack Clayton. The music taste is there. The TV taste is there. The work ethic is there. And we're going to see more of him on TV in the near future in a variety of ways.
100%. I appreciate that.
Paltrocast.